Hello everybody and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be talking about that box to see if it's worth the money, is it good value, and is it really good? Look at this as a review video, so let's jump in. Okay, so nice little quick review video. Thought I've had the box now all weekend. I figured I'll do a little video and let you know what I think of it. Is it good value for money? Is this a game that you would be interested in getting into? And that is Blood and Plunder by Firelock Games. First things first, let's talk about the box. So I got the box for £105. And I got free delivery. I finally found a retailer in the UK that had one. Now, I believe Whaling Games are a stockist and they sell it for less than 100. And I've seen a couple of other people now that have also got them in stock for less than 100, about £93 for the starter set. Now, as a starter set goes, this box has everything you need to play. It has your rulebook, it has 24 miniatures where you can have a set of 12 sailors each. You've got two characters or commander models. You've got a pirate commander and a British European commander. You have two decks of cards, which are your activation decks, which is these, themed with the British flag and the pirate flag, which is kind of cool. So it's like that or like that, which is kind of sweet. You get your dice, you get your play mat, you get some little scatter printable terrain, you get a huge big sheet of tokens. In all, you get everything you need to play this game. It's a true starter set in every sense of the word. Is it value for money? Well, straight away, I'm going to say, oh yes. The reason why is because it's such well done. Now, when you look at things like traditional starter sets, that if you're into your wargaming and you mostly stay with Warhammer and you mostly play Games Workshop products and stuff like that, then you're kind of sort of given a sort of level of product, and that this is not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes the starter sets can be relatively cheap, but they're not necessarily starter sets in the regards of you can play a proper game with this and have a decent size sort of starting collection army with that box. If you look at the 40k starter set, you get a character, you get a troops choice or a battle line unit, and then you get a unit of Terminators, and that's it. That's basically it. Where you look at likes of the this, you get everything. Like, one of the biggest selling factors for this box, obviously, is it's huge. I'm gonna get it over because I've started building them now. You may have heard that. That was my sail falling off. Is these things. Now look at the size of that. Like that. That's the boats. Now obviously, like, I'm still building them, and like I'm thinking about magnetizing these. These things alone, okay, cost about £55, £60 for the small ships. Now the ships do vary in size and price. And you know, the big galleys are about £240, and they are huge ships. Like, they're like way bigger than that, so you can kind of understand why they cost as much. But that's beside the point. You know, you're really going to have one of them. But this box comes with two ships. Now they're about £55 each. If that was Games Workshop, you're looking at, you know, at least £100 for that model. The models are really well detailed. The plastic's pretty decent. The miniatures themselves. The actual plastic sailors have got their multi-part kit, so there's lots of options on there for different weapon loadouts and different customizational options, like different hats and different stuff like that, which is kind of cool because, you know, you want to make your pirates kind of unique and awesome. So the box itself is filled with value because you're getting quite a lot for your money. I mean, the two ships alone are the value of the box. The starter set. That's not including they add in the rule book on it, the 24 sailors, the two characters, the dice, the the mat, the 2 decks of cards, all of that kind of stuff ramps this box way higher than what that is actually what you get in it. It's value for money. So if you want a game that's a little bit different and you want to make sure that you're getting a value for your money, then this box is definitely going to tick that box. Now for the game itself, right? And I've read this book a couple of times now. I was going to do a separate video on this, but I figured, you know what, I'll just incorporate everything. This book is brilliant. Like, first things first, when we talk about historical wargaming, because this is what this is, it's historical wargaming. It even says it on the back of the book. It's 28mm historical wargaming. Now, I know fine well that as soon as I mention that sentence, there's a lot of people now instantly get glazy-eyed and start thinking about a bunch of old dudes around a table playing Napoleonics. I wouldn't really class that as wargaming. I class that more as a historical miniature reenactment, and that's basically what that is. This game is a historical war game in all sense. It's a war game that is set in a historical period. Other games that I would probably put on par with this is things like Baron's War and stuff like that. Bolt action. They're tabletop war games, but set in a historical period. You can do the reenactment part, but it's not true to history. There is a lot of going on here that's not necessarily historically accurate, and you can have a lot of fun. Now, okay, if you're a little bit sensitive to historical events, and especially around the 1600s, you know, Oliver Cromwell, British colonialism and all of that, and you get a little bit offended by that, then maybe don't look at this game as some set in that period. Look at this game as Pirates of the Caribbean, okay? And have fun with that side of what the game can offer rather than the historical context of what you're playing. Because I do know some people are sensitive to the historical events of our past. It happened. We can't change it. What we can do is learn from it. But it's a fascinating period, and the rulebook itself comes with a very nice, in-depth sort of history of the sort of golden age of piracy, if you will. When it started, how it started, and date by date, year by year of the events of the period of Blood and Plunder, which is pretty cool because it's kind of nice, and it's a period of history I myself weren't like fully versed in, and it's a really quite an interesting read as well. It's very cool. So yeah, it's kind of good. The game itself is very, very fun, or seems to be very, very fun to play. It's a very simple system. I say simple until you actually start reading about artillery and ships itself. I'll get onto them in a second. But it's your classic sort of tabletop war game. You've got the activation deck, which is a cool mechanic, which I kind of like. One of the cool rules that I do like, and if you're coming from things like Age of Sigmar, Warhammer 40k, this rule may appeal to you because it's going to feel very, very familiar. This game has the 3-inch combat range mechanic that Age of Sigmar has, so you can't get in closer than 3 inches to enemy models unless you use a charge action, which, if you know, you're coming from things like Age of Sigmar, that's a staple of what we play, and it's kind of familiar. And when you get something familiar, it makes it a little bit more appealing because you're like, oh, I know that, and it's kind of cool. So, yep, it's basically a D10 system, so you kind of have modifiers and things like that. So basically, if you have a value of 7 for shooting, you basically need to roll 7 or more on a dice, on a D10, to successfully score a hit. There are modifiers for ranges. If you're going to be firing muskets and small arm musket fire, you're going to need to be close. And you have various modifiers that range from 0 all the way up to 8, which is kind of cool because muskets were close range fire weapons. They weren't, you weren't having long range engagements of, a couple of 100 meters like we do today in modern warfare. When it comes to small arms fire, you're literally, in those days, you were up close and extremely personal when it comes to musket fire. Unless you had specific certain types of muskets that had those sort of ranges. Again, that's sort of a historical to gameplay context, so there's a reason why they reduced the range. You are basically playing on a 3x3 table. So the only game that I've ever seen sort of take a little bit of realism into the ranges of weapons was a game called Secrets of the Third Reich, which was a weird World War II alternative history type game where it was basically bolt action, but you had things like werewolves and vampires and mechs and things like that. This game came out before Conflict 47, or is it 47, 41, or whatever it was, whatever the sort of sci-fi weird version of bolt action is. It was a very good game, but they had a very cool rule of there is no ranges. A small arms rifle can fire across a 6x4 table because it has a maximum a couple of ranges of a couple hundred meters, and that's the way they viewed it. Pistols and things like that had smaller ranges. This, on the other hand, has ranges. I mean, if you want zero modifiers, you're looking at firing at someone with a musket about 4 inches away, and you have no modifiers. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. Artillery, strongholds, or structures and things like that, they're really cool. And the rule book itself comes with all of these rules. Like everything that you could possibly need to play is in this book. Amazing. A rule book with all of the rules. One book to play the game. It's almost like these guys know what they're doing. Unlike other companies who like you to buy multiple books, like the shelf behind me. Yeah, this is kind of impressive. Now, ships. Let's talk about ships, because ships are the appeal of this game. You can play, and this is one of the things that reading through the rulebook that really caught my eye straight away is you have your scenarios, your battle plans, your missions, your game templates. They have a land version and an amphibious version of that same mission. Why do they have that? Well, you can play the game on land. You can take your scurvy dogs and your pirates and your sailors and your regular infantry and redcoats and fight on the islands dotted around the Spanish Main or on the coasts of North and South America. And you can do all of that kind of cool stuff. Or you can have naval battles where you put your guys in your ships and you sail around a 6x4 table blasting cannons at each other while trying to do boarding actions and all that kind of stuff. Now, I've joined the social media group on Facebook, the Blood and Plunder Facebook group, and there's a lot of cool pictures of guys playing. And one of the things that stands out to me a lot is naval combat. People go nuts for this. And I think that's what this game's biggest appeal is the naval side. Like, I don't think there's any war game that I've seen that has full-on ships at 28 mil, zooming around a 6x4, blasting cannons at each other, and then doing boarding actions and ramming actions and all of this kind of cool stuff. And it's just so cool to see. And I'm really digging. I can't wait to get into it. Obviously, the ships get bigger, so you're going to be able to buy frigates and galleys. Yes, they can be quite expensive, but they're plastic and worth it, and you're not going to need many. But they look so cool. And, you know, one of the things I will say about the ships is they don't come with sails. There's no plastic sails or anything like that. I understand why, because that would be at least another 2 frames on top of what you already get for the ship, and that would obviously increase the price because it's more plastic injection molding, more frames, more box space, and that obviously ramps up the price for them. You can make them out of foam. You can even be really venturous and do all the linen. And, you know, all of the rigging and stuff, and you do yourself with string or little thin rope. Firelock Games does have a rundown on how to do this on their website, so if you're into the real hobby aspect of the ships, that's going to be a cool aspect of this game as well. So yeah, naval combat, I cannot wait. Yeah, I want to get a 6x4 sea mat, a neoprene mat to play on, and I want to get a load of ships, and I want to start doing some proper naval combat. Because that, for me, seems to be a big appeal for this game. I mean, you just have to look on the back. Like, how cool does that look? So, yeah, it just looks amazing. I was lucky enough to find a miniature for Jack Sparrow, from Pirates of the Caribbean, from Footsore Miniatures. called John Finch, and it was very cool. I've ordered him, so there's going to be a painting video for him coming. So yeah, but all in all, I think if you want to play something that's a little bit different, has some really unique aspects, which is what this game definitely has a starter set that is incredibly value for money, and has options of buying army boxes that are like 82 quid, and you basically get everything in the army box that you need to roll and play out straight away. With an online army builder, which there is, with naval combat and actual ships. Now, bearing in mind, if you're a Caradron Overlords player and you really like rolling around in your frigates and ironclads, well, guess what? This game allows you to do proper ships, and they're a lot bigger than your ironclad, and they don't fall off your flying base. Yeah, this game I'm so pumped and excited to start actually getting into this in a big way, because the miniatures are really cool, and the ships are really awesome, and the game itself seems to be really, really good. Really well written rulebook. There's nothing really in here where you're going to sort of read it and not really understand it, and they do a very good way of explaining it. Now, they do have a series of videos on Firelock's website, on YouTube channel, where they go through the rules. I would say the biggest video on there, the longest one, with a lot of information in it, is regarding the ships, because there's a lot about the ships and how they work, but it's relatively simple, using the templates and everything else that you get. So it's very, very simple with the wind and going into the wind into the stern or the bow, or a beam, which is a word that I never knew, and now I learned something new. So yeah, it's very, very cool. Absolute value for money. So if you're wanting to get into Blood and Plunder, get that box. That is, like, seriously, like, I was looking at it when I was building these yesterday and thinking, you know what, I might tempted to try to get a second one of these to get another 2 ships, to have like 4 scoops, and then get a frigate and a galley on top of that, and then I've literally got like my fleet of ships. Because like, you for £100 you get 24 sailors, you get 2 comparator models, which you don't really need, but you get the 2 additional ships, and that's 4 ships. Like, for the price of what it would buy, 2 ships normally, you're getting like another 24 sailors, which can be used for your sea dogs or your sort of regular type troops. Totally worth it. Absolutely amazing box, and it's huge. It's like, you can see it on the top, like how big that is. It's a massive box. So yeah, highly recommend this game. So I'm going to be doing a lot more Blood and Plunder videos as we go through. I'm probably going to try and film how to build a ship, because the instructions, I will say, my only negative aspect of the entire box, right, is this. That's the instructions for the ship, right? It's like, yeah, there's a lot of information here that is missing of when to put things together in regards to building them, because they have to go away, they go together a certain way, otherwise you're going to run into problems. So what I might do is a video on how to build a ship, because I've obviously got the second one to build, and I might do that. There'll be going to be painting videos. I'm going to do like a pirate, a sea dog, a British regular, and I'm looking to maybe get a couple of redcoats. I'm an ex-British soldier. Of course, I'm going to do a British redcoat army in the Spanish Main. Of course, I am. Not only because of my original unit that I was in, the Coldstream Guards, have a lot of our founder of our regiment, General Monk, was was like a naval commander during the sort of period that this game is set, especially during the Anglo-Dutch Wars. That also, a lot of the former parliamentarian troops from the Coldstream Guards, or the regiment of foot, Monk's regiment of foot, were stationed on ships, and they became sort of the forerunners of what would later become the Royal Navy's Marines, So we have a lot of my regiment has a lot of links to that. So it's kind of cool to be able to play a game with those early links to my regiment. So of course I'm going to have a couple of red coats because why not? That sounds cool. So yeah, I want to do some videos on them. I want to do some more videos on this. Probably sort of maybe in a how-to play series. Probably a video on the activation deck and how that works. Actions, shooting, close combat, that kind of thing. I'm not going to do a video on the ships themselves because, in regards to the mechanics, because they're pretty big and there's quite a lot of rules there. And I think Firelock Games have already got a video on that, and it works perfectly fine. So yeah, if you want to enjoy some different alternative content and you want to see more Blood and Plunder content, let me know in the comments below what you want me to do, what you want me to see, and what kind of things you want in the video, and I'll do them and I'll add them to the playlist. This is a game that I definitely want to be doing a lot more of, because I think it's a game that's going to appeal to a lot of people purely for the cool factor. When you stick a load of ships on a table at your gaming club on your big blue mat and you're playing a naval engagement, people are going to stop. 40k players, Age of Sigmar players, Old World and Horus Heresy players at your local club are going to stop and look at what you're doing and going, what the hell's that? That looks amazing. Because it's so cool, especially when you get the sails and everything on these ships. It just looks like something you don't see. And that's what, pardon me, I think that's one of the biggest appeals of the game. It looks cool, it's definitely unique, and it's really well written. So it's well done to the guys who at Firelock who did this. Really, really stunning game. So yeah, can't wait to actually get into it and start playing. So that's the plans. Obviously, if you like my content and you like the idea of me doing this and it's a little bit different, smash that subscribe button. Help me get to my goal of 3,500 this year, and because it's not far off it. And obviously, let me know in the comments what you want me to do for Blood and Plunder, and yeah. And if you're into it, if you are a Blood and Plunder player, let me know, and we can have a talk. And if you are a content creator that does Blood and Plunder content, also reach out, and we may be able to do some content together, and that would be kind of cool. And everything else, ring the bell and all of that good stuff. And you can check out my social, my other stuff like patrons and members area. But that's the video, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for taking time to watch this and for all the support. You're all legends, and I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye for now.